עכשיו יותר מבוגר, אתה עכשיו יותר מבוגר, כן, יותר מבוגר. אך כמה שטוב אתה כאן, כמה שטוב אתה כבר כאן, כמה שזה טוב טוב. כמה טוב שבאת הביתה, באמת חשבת עליי. כמה טוב שבאת הביתה, כמה טוב שבאת אליי, כמה טוב שבאת אליי, כן, שבאת אליי. כמה שטוב אתה כאן, כמה שטוב אתה כבר כאן, כמה שזה טוב טוב. כמה טוב שבאת הביתה.
ליטל, לא שומעים את הסאונד. אני בינתיים אגיד שלום לכולם ותודה רבה רבה שהצטרפתם. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to start with sort of a recap video of what's been happening in the past 48 hours. And Lital, when we are ready with the sound, let us know. And we are going to start a session very shortly. So Lital, give me a sign if we have it. If not, we're just going to jump into our session.
Let's go ahead and begin.
We begin with the session. Wonderful. As ברוכים הבאים, welcome everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce the session today, Innovation and Creative Thinking in the Midst of Global Crisis, the story of Zionist youth movements. I have to tell you, as a mother of two teenagers who have been in a youth movement since they were little girls, I won't say which one because I don't want to create any competition here today. They're all really wonderful. But I have to tell, I cannot imagine our lives and their development and connection to Israel and their Jewish identity without this youth movement. And so I have a very dear place in my heart for the hard work of our panelists today. And before we start, we wanted to welcome a lot of our participants here today are either parents or educators or coming from the field of youth movements. And we had a few questions for you to just see where everybody is And for that, we're going to use the Mentimeter that Lital is going to help us put up. And there's going to be a question for you to answer. So all you have to do is put your answer. You can either do it on your keyboard on the session, or you can also put it in the chat box. So the first question is, okay, what helped teens get through these hard times? So remember, March something, we all on our own, depending on our state, got into quarantine. Some of you are parents, some of you work with teens. What helped teens get through these hard times? So write your answer, and we're going to see some responses on the screen. Again, if you're not so much into the Mentimeter, you can also write in the chat box so we can get some answers. Okay, so we're seeing what helped them is friends and technology, youth movements, supports from friends and family, being in touch with other young people, not only their parents, social media, face-to-face time with peers, interactions with their friends, youth movements activities, having a purpose and feeling needed, using their skills to create a positive impact and support the issue. Again, youth movements, staying connected with their teachers, families, friends. That's wonderful. Social media. Well, great. So I think we're ready for the second question. So if that helped them to get through the period, what was missing? What needed to be and has not yet met their needs of teenagers? So what was missing? Let's get some answers. Definitely social interaction. Some are saying routines, face-to-face meeting, physical activity, a clear role for them in society. Definitely. And I think also, if I have to say on a personal level, just lack of control, not knowing what the school year is going to be like, what summer vacation is going to look like, whether their parents will have a job, will not have a job, what's going to happen. The world has definitely got some a big shakes in the past few months. So all of this, we're going to try to learn today from our panelists what worked well in the youth movements, what we can learn from one another, and more importantly, looking into the future. So I'd like to introduce our moderator today. Her name is Efrat Levy. Efrat is actually graduate of the Shomer HaTzair. She's been active since she was 8 years old and still going strong. She is a professor at the SUNY University of New York and a former board chair of the Shomer HaTzair in America. So Efrat, thank you so much for being with us, and let's get started.
My pleasure. Despite my name, I'm a native New Yorker from Brooklyn. So what struck me in thinking about this session is that it's very natural to talk about how youth movements have managed to cope with these uncertain times, because a lot of focus is being paid, certainly thinking in the near future about what's going to happen in schools. But youth movements know that education doesn't only happen in schools. And I think all youth movements who are represented here brought the strength of their experience and heritage of experiential education and informal education and innovation in education to be able to think about ways that could still be not just fun as well, but not just fun, to be educational. And what we're going to be thinking about today is, I think, that aspect of education, of the experiential and informal roles that youth movements play and can still be a strong force for appropriate development and for intellectual development and for emotional development. So what we're going to hear today from 4 different youth movements, and I will just give a brief introduction before each one. Now, it's fine to have questions while the presentations are going on. Just put them in the chat box, and at the end, we'll have time for some questions, and I will see what's in the chat box, and I will moderate those questions. So thank you to all of you for participating, and thank you to the panelists who are representing each of the youth groups. So we're going to start with BBYO, B'nai B'rith Youth Organization, and our panelists will be talking about an internet platform that presented all the options for online activity of BBYO members. So now I turn it over to BBYO.
Thank you, Efrat. Hello, everyone. My name is Nitzan, and I am the BBYO Central Shlicha, based in Washington, D.C. And I am going to present you a little bit about BBYO, the organization, and what we created for our teens in those really difficult times. So the main mission of BBYO is for every Jewish teen, everywhere and anywhere, regardless of where you're from, which social economic